The forest held its breath. Giant pines stood like watchful sentinels, their needles rustling in the night breeze.
Officer Riley pushed through the undergrowth, his flashlight beam cutting a shaky path through the darkness.
A twig snapped under his boot, the sound unnaturally loud in the stillness. He shivered, the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves filling his nostrils.
Riley was searching for a missing boy, 12-year-old Toby Carter, last seen near these woods. The boy's scent, faint and tinged with fear, clung to the air. Riley followed, his heart pounding against his ribs. The beam of his flashlight caught a flash of white in the distance. He moved towards it, his hand hovering near his holster. As he got closer, he realized with a jolt that it was a child's shoe, small and mud-caked, lying abandoned on the forest floor. Dispatch, this is Riley. I found something. Requesting backup at my location.
Static crackled in response.
Dispatch, do you copy?
Silence. The forest seemed to press in around him, the darkness alive with unseen eyes. He woke with a gasp, his heart hammering. He was in his patrol car, the engine idling. He could hear the dispatcher's voice crackling through the radio, asking him to report his status. Confusion washed over him. He remembered the forest, the shoe, the chilling silence.
He glanced at the clock on the dashboard. 10 p.m. It was the same time he had received the call about Toby Carter's disappearance. Dispatch, this is Riley. I'm on my way to the Carter residence now.
He drove, a knot of dread forming in his stomach. He knew what awaited him in the woods. He had lived this night before, trapped in a terrifying loop. He parked at the edge of the forest, the familiar scent of pine and damp earth assaulting his senses. He grabbed his flashlight, his hand trembling. He recognized the broken branch on the path, the twisted root that snagged his boot. He reached the spot where he had found the shoe. It was gone. The loop reset. Each time the forest seemed to twist, the paths changing subtly, the shadows deepening. He found new horrors, a dilapidated treehouse filled with rotting toys, a circle of stones with a child's drawing pinned to the center. The drawing showed a tall, shadowy figure with glowing red eyes.
He was living the same hours over and over, each loop a variation on a nightmare. He tried to break free, to deviate from his previous actions, but an unseen force seemed to guide him, herding him like a sheep through a slaughterhouse.
He found another shoe, this one hanging from a branch, swinging gently in the breeze. He reached for it, his fingers brushing against something cold and smooth. It was a doll, its porcelain face cracked, its eyes missing, leaving empty sockets that seemed to stare at him with malevolent amusement. He dropped the doll, its hollow laughter echoing in his ears.
The answer, when it came, was more terrifying than anything I could have imagined.
He found an old abandoned cabin hidden deep within the woods. Inside, dusty files lay scattered on a table, illuminated by a stray beam of moonlight.
I recognized the name on the files, Toby Carter, but there were others, a long list of names dating back years, all children, all missing.
He found a journal, its pages filled with frantic scribblings. The writing belonged to the sheriff, a man Riley had known and respected.
The sheriff wrote of a ritual, an ancient evil that resided in the woods, demanding a sacrifice. He wrote of his own son, taken by the entity, and his desperate attempts to appease it. He wrote of the Loop, a prison he had created to protect the town, to contain the evil. But the price was high. One soul offered every year to satiate the darkness.
Riley's blood ran cold. He understood now. The loop wasn't a glitch, it was a cage, and he was the key. The forest was alive with whispers now, the shadows taking on grotesque shapes. He stumbled through the trees, drawn by an unseen force.
I reached a clearing, a circle of ancient stones bathed in an eerie green light. In the center stood the sheriff, his face etched with a terrible grief, his eyes filled with a chilling resignation. He held a struggling figure in his arms. Toby Carter.
It has to be done, Riley. The loop, it demands a sacrifice.
Riley tried to speak, to fight, but his body refused to obey. He watched in horror as the sheriff placed Toby on the altar of stone. The air crackled with energy, the shadows swirling around them.
I felt a searing pain in my chest, a coldness spreading through my veins. I looked down to see a green light emanating from my own chest, tendrils of dark energy wrapping around me.
The sheriff stepped back, his eyes widening in horror and something akin to pity.
I'm sorry, Riley. It seems the loop, it has chosen a new guardian.
The last thing Riley saw before the darkness consumed him was Toby Carter's terrified face, his eyes reflecting the green glow that now emanated from Riley's own. The loop had chosen its new guardian, and Riley was no longer the hunted. He was the hunter.